Hi guys, my name is Annabelle from Horizon Cosplay, and today we're going to talk about my obsession with cream eggs. These are genuinely the best chocolates ever, guys. At least in my opinion, and that means that this Easter I need to do something. And no, I'm not talking about just eating these lovely, gorgeous, heavenly chocolates, but damn they are good. No, I am talking about making a cream egg dress out of fabric that I found from a charity shop. Of course, I mean, just look at this stuff, guys. I am so excited. And because, of course, it has to be part of a lovely Costuber collaboration, this is all part of Gunny Snax, where we make dresses based on our favorite food. So yeah, this one was pretty much perfect for me, let's face it. And thus, under the supervision of my boss, otherwise known as Tiger Lily, my adorable kitten, and Sherlock, who I think counts as my supervisor, who is my other cat, who you will also see in this video, I think it's about time we get making this dress. Also, the pattern is now available on my Ko-Fi, and it is linked in the description below if you want to check it out. It's a PDF download, so you're not getting paper falling all over the place like me. The Gunny Sax dress I'm looking to recreate here is this one. The plan is for me to use the little bit of cream egg fabric that I have for the bodice, and then use some purple and red fabric for the skirt, so wish me luck. Earlier, I duct taped a pattern onto my body, trying to match the lines I can see on the original. So the first thing I did was trace the pattern out and add seam allowance to all the pieces. Then it was time for the mock-up. I had Ben iron the fabric for this because I was being lazy and he had way too much energy. Then I pinned all the pattern pieces down, just squeezing all the pieces onto the scraps of fabric I was trying to use. It didn't take me long to pin it all together, and then we were onto the sewing. This went together fairly quickly, and I was confident enough to overlock it before trying it on. Girly Bear, are you sat on my mock-up again? Do you like disturbing my sewing projects?
Can I have this? Okay, but I need the mock-up back.
Okay, so mock-up is done and it fits. It was a tiny bit big, so all I've done is on the side seams I've added a little bit of extra seam allowance. This does mean that it doesn't run as smoothly along the top, but we're going to sort that out when we cut out the actual fashion fabric. For now though, let's iron this, put some boning in it, triple check it fits because I am a paranoid little ginger, and yeah. Then we can cut out the good stuff because I don't have enough of it to make a mistake, so we need to make sure this goes well. Let's go. So I started ironing the seams to one side before stitching them down. It's been ages since I've made any kind of corset, so I was definitely feeling a bit rusty doing all this, but it's important to sew them to one side so that the seams are reinforced. Once that was done, it was time to add the boning channels. I'm using an old boning that hasn't been out of the box in ages, so I couldn't remember what size channels I needed. But once I'd measured it, I took scrap fabric and made them into seamed stripes. The stripes were pinned onto the bodice, then stitched on using an extra narrow seam allowance. This pattern is available to download on my Ko-Fi, by the way. The link is in the description down below, and if you would like to drop a donation to the channel while you're there to help me keep creating this crazy cream egg content, I will embroider your name into my next dress. And yes, I will do that for absolutely everyone. Okay, it's official. The lining is done. That means we can cut out the actual thing. I am really happy about this. It's got lovely neat boning channels, which I always appreciate, and the inside of it, you know, maybe isn't the tidiest, but it certainly isn't the worst. However, there is one thing left that we have to add to this. So I'm now doing a thing where if you go over to my Ko-Fi and you either buy a pattern or you just donate something to help support the channel, help me create all these amazing projects that I'm always working on, and trust me, I'm always working on them, I am now embroidering people's names on the inside or somewhere on the costume. So today I thought, as this is a new thing I'm doing, I might show you guys how I'm doing that with my very beautiful sewing machine. So to start with, I'm very, very lucky that this sewing machine has a lot of different stitches, including an alphabet. So we're going to go down to the magical little control panel, click alphabet, choose what script we want. I'm feeling relatively basic, so let's just go with the normal one, and then I'm going to type in a name. Now I haven't actually got anyone to put their name on it, so I'm just going to put mine just so I can show you guys how this works. Okay, so it took a few tries, and essentially what we figured out is that because this fabric is so thin, as you can see, the bobbin just keeps getting caught. It comes out nice when it comes out nice, but then it just dies. So if I do the loopy handwriting, it works perfectly. So we're gonna quickly embroider that, and I will show you guys what it looks like and what you guys can get if you want to donate to the Ko-Fi. And of course I had to put handmade on there, but now that's done, I suppose we should actually cut out the bodice. Now the fashion fabric is a bit stretchy, and also I just noticed a little bit thin. Neither of these things bothered me, but the fact that the edges of the fabric kept curling round definitely did. So I turned my iron onto its lowest setting and tried ironing it flat. All that happened was that I ended up with some very wet fabric though, so I think we can call that experiment a fail. So So instead, I folded the fabric in half and pinned all around its outside edges. Once that was done, I then spent a long time racking my brain trying to arrange all the pieces to fit. One of the reasons I'd chosen this pattern after all is that I don't need too many pieces for it, though there is a plan B if I need it, but thankfully I think we're okay. Well, it is pinned and I am so nervous about cutting this stuff out. Like, genuinely, I don't think I've ever worked with so little fabric for any project before, and if this goes wrong, then that's my entire cream egg dress, which at this point I've been dreaming about it for several weeks, out the window, and I will be very unhappy. So touch wood, we're gonna be okay, this is gonna work, and everything will be fine. Just gotta keep telling myself that it's all gonna be good. Now, one upside to this fabric is actually it doesn't fray, which means I don't probably have to overlock it, but I probably will because I'm me and I like overlocking things apparently, so. Before I jinxed myself with bad luck, I quickly pinned everything out before attaching it together. When I started to sew though, the bad luck did finally hit, and for some reason the machine would not stitch. After much trial and troubleshooting, I eventually just concluded that the machine didn't like the bobbin. This is the same one I was trying to use when embroidering names, by the way, and swapped it out for another one, which seemed to solve all my problems. Once all the pieces were attached, I moved to the ironing board and pinned down all the seams so that they would not roll in on themselves inside the dress and completely and utterly annoy me. These then got stitched down too, using some nice purple top stitching, because though cream eggs feature many colours, the purple has to be my favourite, as you will soon see. I hate this. This whole thing was going so well, and then I just changed where I was stitching, and now I'm just gonna have to unpick this entire row, which is right on the front and right off the side of the centre panel, and I hate it because what if it leaves marks? Oh gosh, I hate it when this happens, but it's fine, we'll cover it up. If it looks really, really bad, I'm sure I can work out a plan B, but I don't know what that is yet, so for now, unpicking again, because things can never just go perfectly right with me. Isn't that right, honey?
The rest of it looks superb, I'm just saying.
And unpick that I did before I carried on with the rest of the top stitching, even adding some extra lines just for decoration. The next thing on the list was pinning the lining to the fashion fabric. So while Ben cooked us up some midnight snacks, I cut 2 strips of this awesome purple fabric I have to use as binding and attach along the top and bottom of the bodice. The 2 halves of the bodice along with the binding then got pinned onto the top. I also chucked a few pins along the bottom just to hold it in place before taking off to the sewing machine and gushing all over how excited I was about this dress while sewing those 2 pieces together. Then of course I just had to overlock that raw edge just to give it a bit of extra stability. Plus, I just like overlocking. Oh, and at this point, guys, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe. Though this is the first Gunny Snax dress I made, I actually planned a whole other one before finding this oh so perfect fabric. So subscribe if you would like to see it, and drop us a like to cheer me along to make it quickly. Then I got my boning and put it into the channels after rounding out the end. I stuck pins in the end of the channels to stop them from falling out, and then pinned a zip into the back of the bodice so that I could try it all on. So yeah, this isn't really what I had in mind for the fit of the bodice, especially considering it's supposed to be a corset, and I'm currently trying to work out how we went so wrong. Don't know if you guys can see, but there is a lot of room at the top here, like at least 2 bra sizes too big, and considering this is made from a duct tape pattern of me, yeah, I've got no idea, guys, quite honestly. That's bad, and I don't want to have to unpick the whole thing because I do really quite like it. So we're gonna have an experiment about adjusting the zip and see if by adjusting the zip we can fix the shape at the front. Otherwise, I suppose the only solution is going to be to unpick some pieces, which I really don't want to do, but wish me luck. Okay, so I haven't filmed any of it because had this not worked, I would have been really upset. But just by adjusting the zip at the back, you can already see it is a much better fit. There is still a little bit of room up here, but also because it is a straight line, I don't think that's an issue. Kind of wish there's a bit more boning in the front, but I'm also just, you know, breathe in kind of thing. Otherwise, it's a reasonably good fit. There are a few creases, but at the end of the day, this is a casual dress. It isn't historical. It isn't supposed to be an actual corset. It's just to keep it a little bit more in shape. And I think the only thing I might need to do is double and triple check the zip before I install it, because I'm pretty sure as soon as I take it out it is not going to be 110% measurable, but that's just one of those things. Overall though, I think this is way better, and hopefully with a skirt it will be fine. Point is, we're happy. I'm going to mark where the zip is, going to sew along the bottom, and then tomorrow morning we'll start the skirt. I sneezed and I'm pretty sure the zip just came undone. I think I look like a good egg. don't you? Before I forgot, as I took off this very heavily pinned zip, I basted the edges to keep the fold that I wanted. Once that was done, even though it was well past midnight at this point, I pinned on the bottom binding before taking it over to the machine and stitching that on as well. Sewing it on went way too slowly, or maybe that was just my brain shutting down for the night. Either way, I went to bed after that before I made a big bad sewing decision that I knew I would regret in the morning. Well, good morning, guys! I have my morning cup of tea for the caffeine boost that I'm definitely going to need to finish this project, but honestly, coming downstairs and seeing that this morning, I have rarely been so excited to get something done. So with that, I think it's about time we start thinking about the skirt, then we can actually get on with it. Before I got on with the skirt, I started by pinning the binding onto the edges of the bodice. I didn't want to sew it yet in case the back seam I basted needed any adjustment. Then I got out the fabric for the skirt. I found this purple in the same charity shop at the same time as I got the cream egg fabric, which meant that in my brain it was totally perfect and meant to be. But as we can see on the picture, the skirt is supposed to be a bit puffy, so we're going to need more layers, and that's where the role of red comes in. This stuff is sheer, but it should make a gorgeous underlay to the purple, and to be honest, I've just had this roll sat around for ages and it definitely needs using. I had this leftover piece of ribbon from another project, so I used it to measure the waistline as the bottom of the bodice isn't a straight line. I then gathered the skirts to it and pinned them on, starting of course with the bottom red layer. Okay, so ignoring my washing in the background, this is what the dress is looking at so far. I've just pinned it together. I pinned the red on and I put it on to see how it looked like, because the thing is, this purple, it just doesn't really go, and it's really nice fabric, so I don't want to waste it if I'm not going to wear it. I think it looks quite good with a red skirt. It definitely gives it a nice contrast to the bodice, but an idea that Ben just suggested was that we put this purple bias binding around the bottom of the skirt. However, this skirt is a little bit sheer. I'm not sure how much you can see on camera, but even with 4 layers, it still shows off my legs a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. So what I'm thinking, as I do have a whole roll of this fabric, is that what I'm going to do is cut out some of this fabric as well, put it underneath the red stuff to create an underskirt layer, and just have it a little bit longer so it peeks out the bottom. So I think we're going to lay it out, have a look at what it looks like, and fingers crossed this might actually work. After that, I honestly spent way too long contemplating what to do. I didn't like the look of the underskirt I draped, but I did still like the red. In the end, while I thought about it, I stitched the bottom binding of the bodice on, as that definitely needed doing before I put the skirts on anyway. Then I thought to seal the one raw edge of the red fabric with a little top stitching, before disregarding all the pinning I had done onto the ribbon and just running a gathering stitch by hand across the top. Once that was done, I got started pinning it to the bodice. I figured I wanted to get all of it pinned so that I could try it on before sewing anything permanently.
I think the dress looks really nice, maybe without the leggings. However, the skirt is slightly see-through, so we might want to put some tights on. Apart from that, I really do love the overall finish.
With that all sorted, I sat down and started hand stitching the skirt on, finishing off a few loose edges while I was at it. There was definitely a few places where I accidentally caught the fashion fabric rather than just the lining, but it wasn't overly noticeable, and at this point I'm so excited to wear this, I am not going to be stopping everything just to go and unpick it all and then redo it again. As the red thread was still on my machine, I started by attaching the zip to the skirt and sealing up the bottom of it. Oh, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I've used the selvage edge as the base of the skirt so that I don't need to hem it, which was a 110% amazing, brilliant decision because it saved so much time and looked super neat and tidy and straight. Then I realised that my basting stitches interrupted the top binding, so I sat down and hand stitched the raw edge at the back of the dress before sewing the top binding on too. Changing my thread colour on the machine back to a purple thread, it was time to attach the zip to the bodice. This actually went really smoothly, and with that done, there was nothing else to do. So it was time for a nice spring day walk. This dress has to be one of the cutest I have ever made, and I am so glad I went with that red skirt. My only complaint is that the back seam of the skirt is a little bit messy, but I'm putting that down to the many layers of ultra thin fabric shifting all over the place while I was trying to stitch them down. The bodice is super nice though, and the purple binding really complements the yellow, and it fits me so nicely, though I did slip a padded bra under it for this photo shoot because I don't know how, but I think I was silly and made this pattern while wearing a padded bra, which I'm not sure how that happened, but fine, I love it anyway, and we can totally roll with the fact that I just need to wear a bra under this. Oh, and when we got back, Ben wanted to experiment with his new camera phone, and it was going so great, and we got some really awesome photos until... Yes, my husband did just throw cream eggs at me, but it did give me the idea to do this. And no, surprisingly it didn't hurt, and the video is funny enough that it was well worth the cleanup. Here you go, that one's yours. Well guys, thank you so much for joining me on my journey where I show off my appreciation of cream eggs. Now, this is not the only Gunny Snax dress I have made. I've actually made another one which features vegetables, though that video won't be out for a week or two because editing takes time essentially, but do subscribe to make sure that you don't miss it. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video or you too like cream eggs, don't forget to drop us a like, and if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I answer every single one. Otherwise guys, I will see you next Wednesday with another cosplay, sewing or vintage sewing machine themed video, and until then, have a beautiful day, and I wish you a very happy Easter. Take a chocolate for the road, guys. Bye!